Hello. This is AJT500 slash Towns Track 98 slash Eloise Wonderwise slash Hilo, and this is the post Guild War Ramble for Water Guild War 2025. If you're new to this series, pretty much this is like a dual part series that I do where I do a pre Guild War Ramble where I talk about the stuff that I think will be used in the Guild War, and then I do a post Guild War Ramble afterwards to show what I actually used and what I saw and stuff like that, and go over my rankings. So this Guild War wasn't really that crazy for me. I'm gonna keep it real. It was kind of slack for me, and if you were around the streams, you know just how much I slacked. But we still did pretty good regardless. So let's go look. I am doing this before final rally because this ended on a work from home day, so I'm trying to do it while I have time available. So this was like the total right here. This was the crew total. You'll see on the last day we won all these days, and this was really the only day I really had to fight right here to try and keep us up. But this day we pretty much knew we were gonna lose immediately, so I literally did two 250s, and then I just didn't play it anymore. I have finished all my celestial weapons, and I don't really care about boxes or extras right now, so I farm light scrolls on day 4 instead. Final ranking right here. Oh, I guess this is finally through, but we still don't have final rally yet. But yeah, I got this. I literally it's kind of crazy that I literally, like, people are talking about how crazy this Guild War was, but I literally just didn't play a day, and I still didn't drop out of top 20k. Then crew squads up here. We are squeak actually this time, so yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much the ranking. It's not really a ton, and that's where 90k was. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of chill for me, I'm not gonna lie. Like, next what I'm gonna do is go through my setups, but I mean, it wasn't really that crazy. I'm gonna be real. So let me just bring up the setups, honestly. Let me just bring up the setups. Okay, so like first of all, EX Plus, and I'm gonna show like the stuff in here, but EX Plus was literally just attack. So I actually I do wanna kind of talk about this just a little bit. One thing that did come up with EX Plus is I was actually looking. I ended up following someone named Sheeps, his stuff on Twitter, but I kind of came to like an optimization standpoint with it, where pretty much he had released a setup that used the Mimic Manatura and Kaguya summon, but you only really need one of those when you're doing EX Plus, and you'll max out like the EX Plus host chest. So essentially what I did was I just used the Mimic Manatura, and then I went double Varuna instead, so that I can make the grid a little bit easier, and I made it so that you could kill without having to actually take enemy action. So that's what this was. And this was pretty good. I will say about this though, I didn't get footage of this without the crew buffs, and I had a different key on because by the time I went to record this, I had already changed my key and I didn't want to change it back. So this is on Freyr key right now, but it was actually supposed to be on Echo key, and this worked without crew buffs as well. So you'll see here, just Mimic Manatura and attack, and it will kill like that. So yeah. I'm gonna skip ahead. It just shows like the end screen right here, easy enough. And then I'll go to the, well, actually, bro, is it gonna show me? Oh no, oh no. Oh wait, okay, I showed my EX Plus at the end. Okay, that's fine. I'll just show 90 first, and then I'll show the grids at the end. So 90 was like, what, like one button attack, I think? Or was this just attack? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, it was one button attack. It was literally splitting spirit and then attack. This worked well enough for me. So, I mean, there's not really a lot to say. I just ran this for 90. Single-sided Kaguya. This also has Mimic Manatura. Now, I just said that you only need one of them for EX Plus, which is true, but when it comes to Celestial drops, you, like, literally cannot max out the amount of drop rate it needs for Celestials, so you just do as much drop rate as possible. So that's what I did here. So I used Mimic Manatura and Kaguya Friend Summon. And that was the end screen for that, and then I should show the grids after this. So yeah, I go to EX Plus first. Had this, the horse girls, by the way, are just seeking leveling. Also this, the one standout thing about this, to get guaranteed triple attack, I needed this Zeta Spear, normal water Zeta Spear. I actually didn't bar this. I just had 4 of them just sitting in my stashes. So I was like, oh, people are using this for the multi-attack? That could be really useful. So I threw that joint in there. So yeah, that was pretty useful, unironically. Then these were the summons for it. I also just threw a Kaguya in here because I literally didn't need like Bubs, like summer Bubs. I didn't need summer Belial, anything, because I didn't counterattack. This was 90. Nothing too crazy, just a single-sided crit. Unironically, this Sin Staff probably could have been a second one of these tie side bows, and I'll get into this later, but I actually didn't bar my second tie side bow at this stage, but I already had Sin Staff barred, so yeah, I used that for my single sided. And then I had this for the drop rate as well. So next is 100. 100 is this. 100 was a couple buttons. It was 2 turns, but you could essentially full auto the whole thing. You could essentially full auto the whole thing. It really just causes, you just death a character, bring in Haaselia, and then you kind of just pop off. And that's really just what 100 is. So you do this turn 1, and then turn 2, it's literally just going to be cheeking Payila. I also used, I can't remember if I used it here. I think I do, because I don't see a fire summon in my thing. But I saw someone pretty early not using Summer Belial, but using Summer Bubs instead. And I liked it a lot better because it was way more consistent, because not only do you not get the Summer Bubs hits on the first turn because Payila dodges all, but sometimes the boss will either miss people or hit like all the hits on like 1 or 2 people, and I needed 3 counters to actually kill with Summer Belial. So Summer Bubs was just way more consistent for me, so I stuck with that, and that worked perfectly just like that. So yeah, I made that switch pretty fast. I know some other people use Summer Belial, but I just didn't like the inconsistency of it, and Summer Bubs did the job just well. And then here, I think this is actually when I barred my second thing, because I was literally getting like 1 or 2% on 100, and I couldn't make it up. And I pretty much saw that if I got a second tie side bow, I knew I could beat it, and I did immediately as soon as I got the tie side bow. So yeah, I barred my second tie side bow. That was a 2 bar, and then 150. 150, the 100 to 150 pipeline is the funniest seeking thing, because it is literally the exact same rotation as 100. The only difference is that I use Wild Magica on MC now that I didn't use in 100, just to get the double strike for 2 turns instead of 1, and that literally just beat it immediately. And I figured that out really fast. Granted, it wasn't hard to figure out, but I figured that out really fast, and I was like, okay, I'm just ride this for the rest, and I've just never changed. So this is what I did for the entirety of 100 and 150, was practically the exact same setup with no changes, except for that Wild Magica. So yeah. So this rotation is going to be the exact cheeking same right here. Also, Payila just barely surviving on these Seeking Reflex was kind of funny, but I remember there were people saying, there were people telling me in chat and on Twitter, like, how are you guys having your Payila survive the Reflect? I'm like, what do you mean? Just have more HP? You don't have more HP? Couldn't be me, dog. Couldn't be me. So that's the 150, exact same thing. I think I show after this. I think I skipped the end screen for 100, so I think I go back to that after this. But yeah, and this was obviously faster with the refreshing, but this is just showing you what actually happened. So yeah, nothing too crazy with 150 or 100, to be honest. And then grid, everything is the exact, you can say. It's the exact same. The only difference is that the only reason there's even 2 sets is because of the wild magicka thing. That's the only reason there's even 2 sets. Okay, so the last thing is 250. I don't have a 200 setup because pretty much like honestly I'm probably never really gonna show a 200 setup unless 250 is just so slow that 200 is better, because pretty much 200 for me is literally doing some type of prep work and then just spamming that prep work as fast as possible to unlock 250 and then figuring out 250. So I pretty much only do 200 to unlock 250 and then I never do it again. So I never really have a dedicated 200 setup. I use like some type of Street King thing that I done like from Kuwataro, but yeah, it was kind of just whatever. So anyway, 250, and I'm not going to watch this because if you look at this video, we're 5 minutes into this video. There's 17 minutes left. This is a long full auto on this joint. So I'm not going to do all this, but I will talk about it a little bit. I know a lot of people had issues with this 250, myself included at the start, but I think very quickly there were some full autos that came out that were pretty decently fast, and people even started like just bursting it down with like Mana Diver or Hraesvelgr burst. So it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't crazy, to be honest. But I kind of want to read through this thread that I made on Twitter, where I was talking about this, to kind of sum up my thoughts and put them in video form. So what I'm going to put here, and I want to preface this by saying the reason why I start off this thread like this is because people that saw me start this, essentially what happened with 250 was we went into 250, I saw this joint was seeking terrible because my setups were not ready for it, so I went to go farm light scrolls, and people said I was crashing out, and granted, I know how you guys are, you guys say that about everything, but honestly I wasn't really crashing out, it's just more so I don't know water enough to optimize this or which characters would be best suited for this. So I was just like, I'm gonna just let somebody else figure this joint out, and then I'm gonna just farm light scrolls, because with the round that we were on when this came out, we were also winning pretty handedly already, so I didn't even really need to play. So I was just like, I'll let someone else figure it out, and then I'll come back in full auto later. So that was pretty much it. So anyway, I want to preface this thread by saying that. But anyway, I'm going to read off my thread now, essentially. So pretty much what I said was, believe it or not, I actually really like 250. Even though I think the obsession with soloing content in this game is whack, and something like 250 is probably supposed to be a crew experience, this feels like solo content done right. Let me explain. I've said before that GBF fights are meant to be jumped, but I think this comes in 3 forms. Actually jumping the boss with multiple people, being so powerful that you can full auto or pseudo full auto the boss, or having such an optimized setup that you can defeat the boss before it can really do anything. The first stunt matters normally, but the last 2 matters the most in Guild War. I think there's something uniquely satisfying about being able to optimize a team to the point where it can handle any situation or permutation of a boss and still defeat it even on full auto. It reminds me a lot of when I was trying to optimize Bubs Belial Fall for full auto as well. Seemingly impossible challenges done without actually having to play the game manually because you have the characters and grid investment to do it. It makes chasing characters, weapons, summons feel worth it because you never know what might be key for that full auto until it happens. On the other side, you have the hyper-invested grids that can defeat the boss without it really fighting back. Soldier and Mana Diver have stepped up this time, but every 250 so far has felt impossible at first, but in the end, people figured out ways to defeat the bosses in record-breaking times. This also goes along the lines of your investment mattering a lot so you're ready for any situation. Also, I think the thing I really like about 250 is that the moniker Unite and Fight doesn't just apply to crews, but to the community as a whole. I think in traditional solos, not only is information less available when people are progressing, but the actual goal of soloing is something 98% of the community isn't even chasing at the time the solo is originally done. But Guild War is different because if you're an active player, everyone is forced into the event. So it feels like everyone is working together to find solutions and spread information because we're all dealing with the same problems. So even if you're physically fighting the boss alone, you're not really fighting alone because most setups are a culmination of the community effort. So pretty much all that is to say, I actually like 250. I actually like 250. I like how hard 250 is because I said this. I said this when I was like trying it at first and I was getting kicked and clapped. I was telling people like this isn't broken. I know people love to throw around the kicking term. They didn't test this joint, bro. It literally this happens every single kicking Guild War. They throw something really hard at us. We come with a different preparation than what we actually needed, and then as people like start to filter through, they figure out, hey, this character's really good for this. This character can counter this. Blase, blase. And then after the full autos come out, then you have the manuals like he can Mana Diver and Hraesvelgr that kill this joint in like 3 minutes. So it's like it's not ridiculously broken. It's just 250 is meant to be, I wouldn't even say a whale check. It's meant to be a character in a grid check. And like summon. It's supposed to be the test of your element, which I think Guild War is supposed to be. At least this highest level. I think that's the whole point. The whole point of the highest level is that you can test what you have in that Ellie and test, you know, how much you've invested in that Ellie, how much preparation you've done just in general. And I like that. I think that's cool. And I think until these bosses just become completely unfull audible, yeah, until they just cannot be full autoed at all, that's when I think it's a problem. But the thing about it is people want to see the fight clapping them like 1 hour in and be like, hey, this boss is kicking broken, you can never beat this joint ever, it's harder than kicking Hexa and Fa Zero. Like it's like, no bro, you can pull out of the boss, you just gotta figure out what you need. And like this stuff takes time, because the thing about it is, even though you have people like great people like Kuotaro, kicking Dengaku, like all those people that make setups before the Guild War come out, they're all guesses. Everything's a guess. We don't know what these bosses are going to throw. Besides stuff like, like 90, 100, 150. Like stuff like that, where you can kind of just burst it anyway. This harder stuff, we don't know what the boss is going to do until the boss comes out. So you have to be able to adapt to that. And that's the reason why, even though you can prepare, you have to essentially prepare everything, because you never know what's going to get used. And I like that. I like that. As a whale, I like that. I don't know. Some people might not like that if they don't, spend as much on the game. They don't have every character. But personally, I like it. And nobody's going to take that from me. You know what I mean? So, anyway, that's my 250 spiel. Anyway, now I'm gonna move on to like the tier list for this. I'm not gonna let this whole thing play out. Just know that it full autos all the way through. Sometimes people will like die on this. Like right here, Quatre dies, Cassius I think dies at the very end. But it kind of doesn't matter, because I've seen so many different permutations of this exact same thing, where sometimes one character dies, because pretty much people will die to this reflect at different times. Like sometimes Yatima will throw her S1 out and she can kill herself. Sometimes Quatre will use all his skills on a reflect and kill himself. Sometimes Cassius will react to other people using skills and kill himself. But when Hase comes in, she kind of just runs a train on them. And if someone else dies besides just Hase coming in, and Maria Theresa comes in, she literally full heals you afterwards when she comes in, and then she has the spells too. So it just essentially, you always can win with this setup. So I just ran this setup for the entirety of day 3, and then my 2 runs on day 4. And then I'll show at the end here the battle log. This was around 1620, 1630 on pure full auto. It was around like 12 minutes if I refreshed it, but I was just full autoing, bro. I was just full autoing. Anyway, this was the grid I used for it. And then the summons I'll show in a second. Those were the summons. So yeah. That was pretty much it for 250. I think I show like the shield and stuff too. Oh yeah, I also showed that this was Sagacity key as well. I swapped the Sagacity key for that, and then I used the charger bar gain shield. I don't think that really mattered, but I used it. So anyway, that was 250. Let's get into the cheeking tier list now. Okay, so tier list time. So there's a lot of stuff on here. there's a lot of stuff on here, but honestly, it's not gonna really be that long because I can probably skim over pretty much everything that's not in SS. To be honest, because a lot of stuff was stuff that I just like saw, but I didn't really use. But I can kind of like touch on it. So, starting off SS, I think it's really hard actually because I feel like there's potentially like you can't even really say there was only one MVP of Water Guild War. Because there were so many freaking really good characters. But I think a very high contender for if you had to choose one gun to your head would be Payila. This character's freaking busted, bro. This character's busted as crap, dude. Double strike, triple strike. Like she gets more damage when she hits more than once in a turn. It's just like the amount of damage that you can provide with this character, especially paired with the other characters and other tools that you have in water, is absolutely freaking absurd, bro. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't want to hear nothing about no freaking Mjolnir, bro. When this chick is in the freaking game, bro, you guys know nothing. You guys know nothing. Bruh, this character is so freaking good, bro. And she has a sub all plus a dodge all, bro. It's like, god dang, bro. Like, the thing about it is if you didn't have Payila for this joint, you were suffering. The memes, bro, Gwen had the memes going. I made a meme too where it's just like, bro, taking these dudes were literally in purgatory without taking Payila, bro. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Payila is so freaking good. She does so much damage. She provides so much damage for your team and allows them to do so much damage. It's actually just seeking stupid. It's actually so dumb. Also, she could just deal with the seeking reflect. There were tons of memes about that, about her just seeking hitting herself, but she just powers through that joint and now the reflect's gone. So it's just like absolutely crack character. Um, Yatima was not really used until like 200, 250, which I think most people that knew what Yatima did pretty much expected that, but she did pop off. The more surprising thing about Yatima that I saw was Yatima was still being used even for like the super fast non-full auto 200, 250s. I saw people using her in Hraesvelgr and in Hraesvelgr, Shishio mashing, and Mana Diver mashing. I saw her in all three. Very strong unit, defensive unit. Also gives you like the full debuff resistance was also pretty good because this boss gave a lot of Teking debuffs, notably Teking Charmed. I already said I don't remember if I said it. Tag team. She gives the Teking party wide tag team also really good. Practically, not practically, kind of similar to Payila in the sense that she just allows you to attack twice with your team, and water attacking twice is a lot of freaking damage. Also, just the 100% damage reduction thing on her S2 really good. Her S1 coming in clutch, not only her damage and the skill damage meta of water, but also having a dispel effect for all the buffs that the boss had. Also, it auto activates on taking Ogi, busts his crap. She's just very strong defensive and offensively, to be honest, and just seeking like supporting of the team to make it through the harder nightmares. Very kicking strong. Haaselia. Whoo! Haaselia. Jesus Christ. What another kicking character, bro. What another kicking character. Absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. Absolutely ridiculous amount of damage that she provides for the party. Also double Ogi, just heals on her S1, taking just ridiculous character, frontline and backline. Bro, dudes in 250, they were like, oh snap, we gotta freaking drop Haaselia now. And granted, some people did take Haaselia out of the front line for the most part in 250, but bro, as soon as one person drops, she still comes in and becomes a menace, bro. She still comes in and becomes a menace. This is the second time they've made a boss that tries to put reflect on itself to try and keep Haaselia out, and it just doesn't work. She always bounces back, bro. This character is so ridiculously freaking strong. So strong. It's absolutely dumb, bro. Absolutely dumb. Haaselia is busted, bro. Gabriel, very good. Gabriel, very strong because Gabriel S2, not only does it give the Teaking Echo, that joint gives 50% Teaking TA, by the way. So, like me and Aku were talking about last night, Teaking Gabriel S2 plus Haaselia coming in and using her S3 is literally Teaking 70% Teaking TA just off rip, just by those characters existing and pressing 2 buttons. Absolutely absurd S2. Also, the fact that, like I said before, you have people like Yatima and Payila that can give multi-strike, and this chick literally can just she can nuke multiple times with the Teaking, as long as other people triple attack, including herself, triple attack, she can just nuke. That joint was Teaking insane. Also, that nuke dispels too, which also helps her viability for, all these Teaking buffs. Absolutely busted Teaking character as well. Literally, these top four, I would say even more so, you can kind of drop Yatima down just a peg. Really, it's the big three with Payila, Haaselia, Gabriel, but honestly, Yatima's in there too. It's really a top 4 for this Guild War, but those 4, like, they just completely destroyed everything. Absolutely ridiculous. Next, Tefnut, Summer Tefnut. I know a lot of people said this chick was core, and she was in a lot. I would say she was in pretty much all the faster full autos for 250, but I actually didn't use her, mostly because a lot of the faster 250s use stuff that I wasn't willing to bar, like a second Not an Ice. I didn't have my double MK2 defensive Schrodingers. I could have gotten them. I had the mats too, but I was kind of like, it's whatever. I don't really care. And it really didn't matter either, because when I thought about doing that, it was like the fourth day, which if I'll remind you from before, we Heeking lost, so I didn't really need to play anyway. So there was no point in me barring stuff or going out of my way to get Teaking extra stuff for 250 when I didn't even need to play anyway. It also had weapons like these down here, like Ophelia and whatever the staff is called, that I didn't want to bar either one of these. So pretty much a lot of those setups that used Tefnut that were the faster full autos, they used stuff that I wasn't willing to invest in, so I just didn't use Tefnut and I stuck with my Paladin setup. Quatre unironically popped off in Teaking 250. The skill damage good. Helping him proc him helping Cassius proc his stuff good because of all his skills. Debuffing constantly good. Dispels good. Multi attack plus echo always good. Unironically, he was pretty useful. I'm not gonna lie. Zeta was here mostly for the lower floor, 90 and EX plus, but her Echo, people were getting like Zeta gapped because they didn't have that unique Echo that she brings. So Zeta unironically good. Cassius, pretty much him and Quatre were like a pair in 250. Cassius did pop off because Cassius did have the heals, and most notably the spells plus skill damage, and water is a very skill damage heavy element right now. So Cassius plus Quatre tag team duo, very very strong in 250. I know we skipped over him in the pre-Guild War Ramble, but he did turn out to be very good. Theresa she's here in SS plus, but she's kind of like still so, but she has very good niches in the sense that in 250, like I kind of glossed over it before, but if everybody dies, pretty much if Haaselia comes out in my comp and then Theresa comes out later, she does bring a full heal to everybody when she comes out, and then she also has dispels, which was very useful, and that's really all you needed from her from this. You just needed the support. So even though she doesn't do a ton in those comps, she does help, and she also does have, because you have so many dispels, when she is backline, she is triggering that thing where she does skill damage plus she debuffs, which is also really kicking good just to do from the backline. So even though she's not a crazy heavy hitter, she does have very strong niches for this Guild War in particular. So I do think she is worth being in SS plus for this. Okay, so now summons. Summons, Bubs for me was not really that crazy, but I did see him I did see him used a lot in a lot of different comps. I'm guessing if I just had to think, he's probably definitely used for not only buffing your MC but also taking dispelling buffs. So probably good there. Orologia, kind of the same thing. Trying to think if I even used Orologia. I don't even think I used Orologia personally, but Orologia was used for like EX plus, and I think he was used in 250 for manual stuff as well. I think he was using a couple full autos too, because you could use like his nuke and then Street King out. So you could use him for that as well. So I did see him used a lot, just not by me personally. Yatima, exact same thing. Yatima I saw in a lot of the Mana Diver and Hraesvelgr setups for 250 and 200. Well, maybe not 200, 250. I saw Yatima used a lot to use multiple summons so that you could burst down the boss. Summer Bubs, I did use Summer Bubs to finish all of my stuff. Unironically, Summer Bubs is very good. Having an extra 2 million damage just at the end of turn is really kicking nice, I'm not gonna lie, and it's very consistent. But the bigger thing that Summer Bubs had here as well was his call, actually. You could use his call to make it so that whenever she used a special attack, she would immediately get dispelled, which helps get rid of her debuff or her buffs. So unironically, he saw a lot of use. This summon is becoming more and more useful as time goes on, as opposed to when he first came out, where he was incredibly niche. So he's actually very good even on Ellie this time. Bahamut, surprisingly enough, Bahamut was used. Bahamut was used, and I have Alexiel here as well. Alexiel is supposed to be death, and I put these next to each other for that reason. Bahamut was used so that you could death a character very fast. Essentially, you didn't have to go through the death lockout since you're not playing a dark MC, so that you could death a character and bring out Haaselia, which sounds small, but when you're bringing in Haaselia, that's very kicking big. That's very kicking big. So unironically, Bahamut main and friend summon, very kicking useful to lower that summon cooldown for a lot of strategies. Very kicking good. Quilin, pretty much used in the higher floors to do like the Mana Diver, the Hraesvelgr stuff. Not a lot to say there. 000, I did see some people using the second side of the call to clear out buffs, plus just you know, the amp that it gives as well for damage. Kaguya is here, you know why. TA as a main or friend summon, plus the drop rate. Justice, unironically, Justice was very good for a lot of full autos for 250, because Justice made it so that you could heal without having to heal. you could make it so that you could even out the HP, especially on stuff like Paladin, where your MC stays very healthy for a lot of that, because a lot of the damage that's being done is a reflect, and your MC isn't really dealing with that, it's your other characters. So your MC staying at very high HP and then balancing out the HP on all your other characters, very kicking useful, surprisingly enough. Plus, Justice just gives HP in general as well to make you more tankier for those floors. So unironically, Justice saw a lot of kicking use this skill war. Not only as a sub summon, you know, just sitting there, but also as an active quick summon. Very kicking good this skill war, actually. Okay, so next we're gonna get into weapons. PNS, I've said it how many times? Come on now. The one thing about PNS though is PNS did start to falter with two of them, because Water does have the Wamdus Spear, and the Wamdus Spear gives the supplemental, plus it also gives crit. But on the other hand, I did start to see some PNS gap around like 100, 150, where if you didn't have two PNS, people were kind of struggling with those for a bit and getting like 2% stuff like that. Until people came up with other setups that use like the Wamdus thing. But PNS at the end of the day is still PNS. Wamdus Umbrella didn't really see much use at all until like 250, but once that damage in 250 started hitting, bros were like, where's my HP, where's my defense? So I saw a very popular pick. I saw a very popular two of these, and I remember saying before Guild War that I'm very happy with having two of these. Two of these is pretty good still. I think two Wamdus umbrellas is a good place to stop, in my opinion. Galele's, that weapon is like, you know, it's good. It's got the crit. It's pretty much, you know, it's pretty much just the standard. at this point. Galili's hasn't really changed like at all. It's just a good weapon and has stamina on it plus crit. Tai Bow is literally like the perfect weapon for seeking water because it has seeking. Crit, big crit, and it has skill damage and skill cap, which plays into like literally both the things that water wants to do. So you're running up to like 2 of these. Tai Bow, unironically, incredibly cheeking strong. Still another weapon just like Galili's that's been around for cheeking ever, but it's very cheeking strong. Very strong. Exalto, I did see some like wishy-washy behavior. I saw it very used kind of at the start, and then it kind of fell off in like 200, 250 until people kind of started to figure out what they really wanted to do for those floors. Because I think a lot of, especially for 250, people got to 250 and they were like, dang, this does a lot of damage. And they literally just stopped like even caring about crit as much, and they just went for as much HP as possible. Like HP and defense as possible. So, but by the end, Exalto is Exalto, just like PNS is. It came around the end and people found setups, especially in like the bursty setups as well. Knight of Ice, very good. Also plays in the skill damage meta of water, but it also has seeking HP on it. So I think I said before that people used up to 2 of these, especially for like 250 full autos, stuff like that, just to survive and also do skill damage. Pretty good cheeking weapon just in general. Very nice. Hraesvelgr and Shishio. So Hraesvelgr and Shishio are interesting. I'll start with Hraesvelgr first. Hraesvelgr, I think for the most part, people kind of expected that Hraesvelgr was going to dominate 200, which, from what I can tell, it kind of did. It dominated 200 a lot. I think most people expected, with the strength of Mana Diver, that Mana Diver was going to run the gauntlet on taking 150 and 150 and down. But then the big question was 250. But Hraesvelgr did end up breaking into 250 as well, and it was used for that as well. The only thing about it, though, is you could use Mana Diver for like both of those things as well. You could use Mana Diver for 200, and you could use Mana Diver for 250 as well. To very, very comparable speeds, if not faster. Yeah. Hraesvelgr, still a decent weapon, but it is not without rival anymore. It is not without rival. Mana Diver is just too cheeking strong, especially in water. It's too cheeking strong. It's too strong. Shishio, on the other hand, people, I think, probably thought, especially 250, Shishio was going to be the big winner. But she said, what if you want to use Shishio in 250, but God said zombified? Zombification taking Shishio out the water for a lot of people, especially for like full auto stuff. People were getting blown up. It did end up coming up in the end where people just found essentially like a mash comps with Shishio that were using it, but I don't think it made as much of an impact as just like Street King full auto, Paladin full auto, or Hraesvelgr and Mana Diver burst for 250. It was kind of like a middle ground, and considering that joint is 150 gold moons, not a lot of people were interested in that middle ground because there were just other options to do stuff with. So yeah, I mean, it's good, but it definitely saw its limits in this fight. This fight wasn't the kindest to it. Levi Dagger is just here just because Levi Dagger is just seeking strong in general. Whether you're doing Magna or Primal, you can just throw that joint in for a lot of damage. Wamdus Spear, I talked about it before. It was like a surrogate for PNS. The big thing about Wamdus Spear is not only that it gives the supplemental, but it also gives the critical damage, like a big crit. Well, it's like massive crit, but like a big crit modifier to also help you hit 100% crit single-sided. So this was a very used weapon, especially for people that didn't have 2 PNS. Very used. Also, there was a little bit of optimization with Wamdus weapon as well, where you could use AX skills to get enough triple attack on certain characters like Haaselia, so that they could hit 100% triple attack to play into Gabriel and just do more damage. So yeah, useful weapon.
The moon bow just pairs with Haaselia, and Haaselia was running rampant, so moon bow just gets used. Unironically, I'm putting this here just because I used it. Unironically, the Paladin CCW weapon popped the crap off, bro. That joint was so good for 250. The constant peeking veil and the dispel on Ogi really peaking strong for this fight. Really strong, incredibly strong. So I'm just putting this here just because I used it a lot. It could probably drop a little bit considering you only really use it for 250 and it wasn't the only option for 250, but I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I made it because unironically it probably saved me some bars because otherwise I would have been trying to do shrieking stuff. So yeah, I'm happy with it for this fight. And then the last thing in SS is just the Opus. Opus, we talked about this in the pre-Guild War Ramble. Opus is just seeking busts crap in water because it's a staff, which means it can play with Mana Diver, and being able to play with Mana Diver with your Opus, because the thing that makes it even stronger is not only just the effects, but also because it just allows you a lot of grid flexibility, because you're always going to have your Opus in your freaking party anyway. So if you can make it a main hand and then put other stuff in your grid just for free, it's like, heck yeah. So Opus, I only put the primal one here, but the Magnum one as well. Both Opuses just taking god tier taking weapons when it comes to water and Mana Diver as a whole. Very kicking strong. Okay, so now we're gonna pretty much SS tier was the real tier where I was gonna be talking. The rest of it is just I'm just gonna glaze through the rest of the stuff, because a lot of this other stuff was kind of like extra stuff to varying degrees of usage and varying degrees of which I saw it. Starting at S plus, Uno, I remember seeing, and I believe 100. Actually, I don't even know if it was 100. I think it was 90. I think it was 90. A lot of people were stuck on like 90 or 100, one of those two floors. They were stuck on that because they were trying to get Uno to triple attack, but Uno was like one of the best in slot characters for a certain setup that a lot of people were chasing after. I didn't actually use Uno, so I don't really know what it was for, but I saw a lot of people talking about Uno for that joint, so he's in here. Vajra, I think some people tried Vajra, myself included, for like the start of like 200, 250. She didn't really actually play into that. What I saw Vajra more for was I saw Vajra doing stuff on 250 and then dying to bring out Haaselia. But I don't really know what she was doing or what the point was to bring Vajra specifically, but people were doing it and I saw a lot of people doing that comp. So that's Vajra. Erica is just Hraesvelgr support. Merg, I saw a lot of people getting Merg gapped. I'm sorry that you guys got Merg gapped, but I saw a lot of people getting Merg gapped because they didn't have the multi attack plus the damage cap plus the damage that this thing had. A lot of people were getting Merg gapped. Summer Belial, I talked about before, where Summer Belial was just used for like the counters in the same way as Summer Bubs, but like I said, I like Summer Bubs consistently more. So Summer Belial, especially for me, fell a lot more as opposed to Bubs. Lucifer, I did see Lucifer being used for like full auto stuff on 250 as a friend summon. Just I'm guessing for the clear. I also did see him a lot for like as a sub summon as well for the healing specs. Also for the call if people were calling him just to get more HP while they were full autoing. Ophelia and whatever the seeking staff is called. Pretty much both of these weapons were used a lot in 250 because they gave a lot of HP and they gave defense. So they helped make full autos more survivable. So that's what both those weapons were for. I didn't use either one of them because I don't have any of them max and I was not going to bar them. Also glad I didn't bar them because I didn't need them. So yeah. Drain Ball was kind of just a filler slot for Ogi stuff while people were doing Ogi full autos and stuff. Draconic, unironically, Draconic and kicking the Schrodingers, both very heavy defensive options. HP plus defense plus most notably fire resistance. A lot of people, myself included, swapped the Draconic second key to fire resistance to help with the damage that was going out in 250 to make it more survivable. And the damage difference was actually very noticeable whether or not you had fire resistance or not. So that is a big thing. Also, just a note for Schrodinger, that might be something you may want to think about in the future, just in general for the other Revens. You may want to start farming some MK2 defensive stuff. I'm just saying. You may want to have that on hand for some other Ellies just in case you need that. Maybe like 1 or 2 just to have them. Just saying for your future guild wars. But yeah, these were just very heavy defensive options for 250. This spear right here, this is an Ultima spear, but it's supposed to be Water Zeta spear. Game With didn't have Water Zeta spear on this list, so I just used this as a surrogate. But you guys saw like my EX plus my 90. This was used a lot in the lower floors for multi attack without pressing buttons. So yeah. Going down to S, Chat Noir, I literally did not touch this character. Some people were saying Chat Noir saved their Teking 250. I don't even know what this guy does, but he's here because he was having 250 presence. Poseidon, pretty much just EX plus like 90 type thing. Katura and Lucio, both Hraesvelgr support, but unironically, I saw both of these characters less than Erica. For the most part, I was seeing like Erica, Haaselia, and Yatima. Actually, I was seeing that comp a lot. When it came to like the Hraesvelgr comps, so I actually didn't see these characters as much. I really didn't see Katura like at all. Which, by the way, thank you. That allows me to get my Valentine's Medusa. Thank you, Katura. But yeah, I didn't see these characters as much as I saw Erica, Hase, and Yatima for the gun setups. So they're down here. Poseidon weapon, I did see Poseidon weapon show up some in like 100 and 150 to play into Payila hitting herself, and then getting the immunity. I also did see it as a full auto weapon in 250, but not the craziest thing to be honest. Amino, I really didn't see it. I saw it used in a couple comps, but nothing really stand outish about Amino to be honest. Going down here, I saw Pholia in like some 200 setups, not really super prevalent, but I did see her. Kalulu and Lesia, both backline characters just to support with backline stuff. Rosetta, I did see like one, I think it was from Hoshimiya, 250 that was done with Rosetta, and I think it was like Masquerade. Some people did suggest, I know Mo, you suggested using this character, but she didn't really end up being like super used. Shalim, I didn't really see her a lot at all. I know a lot of people kept saying like, hey, you should use Shalim, hey, you should use Shalim, but never really took off, I don't think. Nectar, I did see in 250 full auto. I think that was by Hecate. Nier, I kind of saw in the same vein as Uno, but I saw way less people using Uno, or way less people using Nier than Uno. In like 90 or 100, where people are using low button setups to kill the boss, I did see Nier show up there for her like nuke. Ragazzo was used in like 250 as a kill person. I'm also just going to kind of lump him in with all the other characters that were used to like kill themselves, like Anila and people like that, to just kill themselves so that you could bring out like Hase or something. But I did see Ragazzo show up quite a bit, so I used him. I did see the astral weapon used for some people using Relic Buster for 250 full auto, because this thing also has Dispel on Ogi, just like the Paladin weapon. Plus it gives like that echo, I think. I saw Justice Sword being used for like an HP option in 250 full autos. My V Sin Staff, honestly, really not that useful. The thing I kind of came to realize, and I kind of knew this before, but it kind of hit me more during this Guild Wars. I think V Sin Staff is essentially V Sin Staff and double tie bow. They both accomplish the same thing single-sided, where it gives you like the 100% crit with only 4 weapons, like these 2 plus 2 Exalto. But the thing about it is, I think this weapon is better suited for the stuff that doesn't really take as long, and there's not as much damage going out. And what I mean by that is this is better for something like EX Plus and 90, where once you go up to something like 100 and 150, the tie side bow matters more because there's way more skill damage going out and you're pressing more buttons in general. So this is more useful over this. So I only really use this for like EX Plus 90 and stuff like that. But honestly, you probably could have just used a second tie set bow instead of this. And this thing also fell behind Ophelia in this staff because even though this thing has healing cap on it, it doesn't have the HP. The healing cap isn't as high, and it doesn't have a garrison all day either. So it also dropped past these, and it wasn't as useful for like 250 full auto either. So kind of a disappointment with this weapon, but I mean it still has its uses, but it's very limited. Pretty much these two right here, I saw for 250 stuff. I saw this as a main hand for like lumberjack, I think. I saw this as a grid piece for HP. Very niche. I didn't see a lot of people using these. The CCW axe, some people use it for OTK. I did see like one Excalibur run. I think that was also Relic Buster. I saw like an Uli run for 250 with Rising Force, I think. Also very niche. And then these characters at the bottom are Europa. Unironically, I heard whispers of people using Europa, but I did not see Europa at all. Just completely MIA for me. So that's the reason why she's down here. I don't know if she was used or not because I literally didn't see it. I'm gonna be real. I did not see her. So maybe she goes up higher. I'm not sure. Gwen, I also didn't see. I heard someone told me that they needed to see Gwen on this list, so I put them here. I literally didn't see this character at all, so I don't know what she was used for. Wamdus, I heard some people cope using Wamdus, and I also know that some people were planning to use Wamdus for like 100, 150 in case the boss put up like buffs that would allow you to not, or would stop you from doing damage, but we didn't really need her like all the spells, so we just ran Gabriel instead, so not used. Indala and Magus are here because Indala and Magus showed up for like this weird 250 comp because Indala has a thing where she can dispel even when she's dead, so you use that. This was a weird peeking comp. I don't know what the heck you guys were doing, but whatever, it's here. And then Tira at the end just because I'm guessing some people tried to use her, but again, just like Europa, I did not see Tira at all. So I don't know what she was used for. She could go up. I don't know. I didn't see it at all, so I don't really know what to tell you. I'm gonna keep it real. Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much the list. I don't really have anything else to say, to be honest. That's pretty much it. We're gonna see what the next Guild War is next. Probably like tomorrow. I'm guessing it's either fire or light next. So get preparing those. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I know a lot of people had issues with this Guild War, but I didn't. I didn't. I was being chilling, bro. Like you guys saw on stream, I was even farming light scrolls for like half the rounds, unironically. So yeah, I mean, you know, it wasn't that crazy. It was kind of chill, to be honest. I mostly full autoed everything, and there was only one celestial to get as well, so I didn't even really have to spam 90 like that either. So it was chill for me. But yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps this up. So I will get out of here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support as always, and bye bye.